any NIMBYs, NABBYs, fearmongers, and my favorite of all, once again, the vocal strident element in our community that would sooner turn a blind eye to the problem. Take heart. You have a right to defend your neighborhood. Name calling is for bullies.
Last Saturday, what you saw in this building was a remarkable presentation by a public relations company. But what you see here today is the heart and soul and spirit of Richmond.
We're trying to deliver a message to the community about who we are and what we do and what the proposal is about. And unfortunately, I think there's information that's being put out in the community that's just not true. Turning Point was founded in 1982. It's a support recovery program for people who have addiction issues or substance use and misuse problems. And it's a place for them to come that's safe and supportive, to stay for 3 to 4 months to learn life skills, to reintegrate back into the community, and to get support for longer term recovery. People volunteer to come to Turning Point. They're not court mandated, they're not ordered here. They want to come to Turning Point, and what happens to people in recovery is they typically reach a bottom, or they sort of hit a wall, figuratively speaking, where they realize that what they're doing in their lives isn't working for them anymore, and it's because of drugs and alcohol. And so they become willing to do whatever it's going to take to get clean and sober. And so they ask to come to Turning Point, and typically it means waiting on a wait list to get in for services. And once they're here, they're so, so grateful to be living in recovery and to be abstinent that they are willing to do whatever they have to do to maintain that. What's important is that those that come in here that get back into the community are fully engaged in their lives again back out there when they leave. So
I started using drugs when I was about 12 years old, and I quit when I was 21, so I guess 9 years. Emotionally, I was really, really broken. I just felt like I didn't have anything to live for, that all I deserved was to do drugs and to hurt myself, and I didn't have any hope or faith in myself. I spent my life doing drugs, and that was all I did, and if I wasn't using, I was sleeping, and yeah, it was just a pretty sad existence for me.
A friend of mine in the community has a daughter who lives there in that, I guess, this area, and with very, very small children, and she's the one who told me about it, and she asked me what I thought about it and if I was interested in getting information and going to a rally, if you want to call it that, and I said absolutely. Oh, okay. So I just kind of got word of mouth information, and she emailed me all the different documentation that people have been putting out for awareness, and so I had pretty good information before I came today. Well, there's 4 or 5 schools very, very close to the lots that they purchased. It's very, very community oriented, and my kids are grown, but I see it every day, and I just I don't think it would be a very good influence. Apparently they're allowed to come freely and leave whenever they like, and I just think it might build into other problems. I think that they need to do a little more fundraising perhaps to get, if there is property available and they are going to build it, they need people that are willing to monitor it a little bit better. I mean, for the rest of us that aren't having drug problems or alcohol problems, we can help them, but we're doing our best to raise our kids. You don't want to shuffle them under the rug, but
I think if society had it their way, the addicts would be contained to the downtown east side, and that's where they're supposed to use, not use, stay clean, get loaded, whatever. But that's not the solution to it. For me, like, I had to take myself out of that culture, and I had to be somewhere where I saw people living lives. I saw parents walking with their kids. I saw kids going to school. I saw elderly people, you know, I saw everything, people taking the bus, people driving, and I got to see that, wow, there is a world outside of addiction, and I can be a person in that world.
There are many, many examples of communities that have, risen up and said, we don't want this community group near us because we're oversaturated. We've got too many of them beside us. We're going to have ambulances there. There's going to be drug dealers there. There's going to all those sorts of things, and those things don't happen. I can take you to recovery homes all across this city. That is not what's going on in a recovery home. What you really want to do is try and create more of them, not less of them. And that is because those individuals need support, and when they're receiving proper support, they are an asset to your community as opposed to, as opposed to a liability. Mm-hmm. Well, I think that when people look at having a recovery home in their community, they have their concerns, but I think what I would encourage them to do is go and visit a recovery home. See, at a recovery home, people are not doing drugs, right? So that's what we want, actually. And people in that kind of frame of mind, when they're not doing drugs, they're doing something else with their life. Maybe it's more productive. Maybe it's more inspiring. Maybe it's something that's a better role model for their kids.
But let me ask you this. How does relapse happen? Where do the people get the means? With alcohol, I understand. In the neighborhood, we have a liquor store. You can go and buy your alcohol there. Walking distance, very convenient. What about the drugs? It's not like you can buy them at IGAs or Shoppers yet. My guess is that all the drugs are being delivered right to the TPR doors by the resident friends and visitors. This is what I mean when I say that our children are going to be exposing to risky situation and danger.
At Halloween, we had 50 trick-or-treaters. At our house in Richmond, we had 80 here in Vancouver. Obviously, there's just no concern of either neighborhood that their children won't be safe. And again, I think that's just something that people that oppose these developments and oppose these projects put out there to scare people inadvertently, and or maybe quite deliberately to scare people. And what we can say is we assure people that in 25 years we've never had an incident, and that's the most compelling evidence there is.
Let's say I had decided to use when I was in this house, I wouldn't have gone and picked up drugs and brought them back to this house. And I don't remember a time when I lived here for a year that happened. If somebody decides that they're going to use again, they're going to leave and they're not going to come back. This isn't a place to use drugs. This is a place to not use drugs. And if I were to decide that I wanted to use drugs, this is probably the last place I would come.
It's possible that that drug dealers will go into all kinds of neighborhoods, but let me tell you, there's not many customers in recovery homes because they're not doing drugs there. They're staying clean. I have two people that were in the welfare lineup in the downtown east side last week who have been clean and sober for 45 days, and someone behind them was smoking a crack pipe. This is in the welfare office. How can you stay clean when that's going on? What that means is you cannot put a recovery home in the downtown east side. It will fail. It will fail miserably. What you need to do is take those recovery, those people that want to recover, you've got to remove them from that source of drugs and of triggers. When someone sees someone else, a crack addict sees someone else smoking crack, it drives them crazy. They want some, and they'll do anything to get it at times. So what you have to do is you've got to take people away from that. Doesn't mean that it can't be in an urban setting, because there are lots of safe urban settings. But it cannot be in the heart of the drug addiction problem in British Columbia. That's just plain stupid. It won't work. Generally speaking, people in Vancouver think that what happens in the downtown east side is normal. It's not normal. It doesn't happen anywhere else in the world at all. You cannot find me a worse situation in any part of the world when it comes to drugs, drugging and alcohol and public disorder. Nothing. It's not normal. And we have been lulled into thinking that it's normal. And we've been lulled into this feeling that if we try to change it at all, that we're poor bashing. But those things are not true. What is true is if we don't get down there and start making it safe for people, if we don't start offering people recovery options, it will only grow and grow and grow.
The caring citizens of Richmond cannot afford to hire a public relation company to have us sing and dance in front of you today, this afternoon. But what we have is a very strong spirit of community and the courage to stand up and be heard. You represent an incredible collective energy that can move mountains. However, if that mountain refuses to move, you can use your ultimate weapon of mass decision, your ballot next November.
Let me read you a news item. Headline: Richmond Review, July 2015. City councillors voted yesterday to allocate $10 million to build a larger holding facility for those arrested for crime, theft, and vandalism, and DUIs in the city. The local RCMP detachment has also asked for 20 additional officers to support a force that is greatly overworked and stressed with the rise in the level of lawlessness in the city. If the expansion plan of Turning Point is allowed to proceed, this news report might possibly be not too far from the reality we may face 8 years from now.
Hi, I am Theodora Dorna and I'm 13 years old. I'm concerned that that a recovery house in a family neighborhood will not only bring drug addicts, it will also bring drug dealers, crime, violence, and insecurity among all the neighbors in Richmond. I don't want downtown Vancouver in Richmond. I like Richmond. I like my house and my neighborhood. And I would like to stay in Richmond.
We don't make it on our own. We may not realize it, but we need people around us that are helping us, that understand the things that we're going through, and they're the ones that hold us up. And when you don't have that, the first thing you're going to do is you're going to feel terrible, and the first thing you're going to do is you're going to go out and use again.
I learned basic things like how to treat another person, how to do things that other people who don't do drugs or aren't involved in addiction just kind of, they learn as they become adults, but I didn't learn these things because I had spent so many years using.
I think what's important is that addiction has no boundaries. There are, it crosses every socioeconomic, ethnic, gender group around. I mean, there's just no boundaries.
Wake up and you're brave, and wake up and you're saving your whole life. wake up and you're sleeping. Why won't you